Which realm is the happiest in the cycle of rebirth created by the Buddha? Welcome back, everyone, to Mind Podcast. We often tell each other that living a virtuous life and doing good deeds will lead us to heaven, where we can become angels. But what does heaven really mean here? Is it truly a place free from suffering? The answer is no. The place we often refer to as heaven is actually just one realm within the 6 realms of the cycle of rebirth. As long as it's within this cycle, it can never be free from suffering. So, what exactly are these 6 realms, and how can one escape suffering within them? Let's explore these questions, and everything will be answered in today's video. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha resided in Venuvana, bamboo grove, in the city of Rajgir. Maudgalyayana, a close disciple of the Buddha, known for his supreme spiritual powers, could clearly see the suffering in the realms of hell and hungry ghosts. He even witnessed heavenly beings in the celestial realm descending into the 3 lower realms once their lifespan ended. Maudgalyayana would often tell the monks about what he observed and taught them ways to practice to free themselves from such suffering. Through his teachings, he led many to enlightenment, helping them escape the cycle of rebirth. The Buddha, seeing this, remarked that Venerable Maudgalyayana could not be everywhere at once to remind all Buddhists. Therefore, he instructed that in front of every temple, a wheel of life should be painted, and a capable monk appointed to explain its meaning to visitors, reminding them to diligently practice to escape suffering. This is how the wheel of life came to be. The 6 realms within the cycle of rebirth are the realms where all beings are reborn, including the realms of heaven, humans, asuras, demigods, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell. Buddhism teaches that all beings who have not attained liberation are propelled by karmic forces to endlessly cycle through life and death within these 6 realms. And to be within this cycle means being within an ocean of boundless suffering. The heavenly realm is considered the most wondrous, free from worries about food and clothing and devoid of the struggles of life. Lifespans are incredibly long, but heavenly beings are not without burdens. When their time comes, they experience the 5 signs of decline, marking the end of their lifetime's pleasures, which fade away completely. In the human realm, there are 8 fundamental sufferings: birth, aging, illness, death, separation from loved ones, encounters with those we hate, unfulfilled desires, and the imbalance of the 5 aggregates. Life has many pleasures, but it is also filled with endless suffering. In the realm of the asuras, beings have great blessings, similar to gods and humans, but their intense anger constantly consumes them, leaving them without peace. Beings in the animal realm often suffer from ignorance and delusion. They endure the hardship of the strong preying upon the weak. Those with a bit more good fortune may avoid hunger and thirst, but cannot escape the suffering of being used by humans. The greatest suffering of hungry ghosts is hunger and thirst. They constantly search for food, but find it difficult to consume anything, wandering in agony with empty stomachs. The suffering of beings in the hell realm is thousands of times greater than that of the realms above. Climbing mountains of knives, descending into oceans of fire, and jumping into vats of boiling oil are common scenes for beings in hell. Their lifespans are exceedingly long, stretching into thousands and millions of years, with suffering that seems never-ending. At the center of the wheel of samsara, there is a rooster representing greed, a snake representing anger, and a pig representing ignorance. These 3 animals bite each other's tails, symbolizing the interdependence of the 3 poisons, which bind beings to karma and hinder their liberation. These animals continuously stir within the minds of ordinary people, inciting them to create karma and experience the cycle of suffering in samsara. Greed, anger, and ignorance, though foundational to samsara and the nature of the universe, will dissolve as soon as one attains awareness. It is said that during the southern and northern dynasties, Emperor Wu of Liang was a devout Buddhist. He was curious to witness beings from other realms in the wheel of samsara, so he summoned the Zen master Zhigong with an unusual request. Emperor Wu asked the Zen master to take him to the heavenly and hell realms to see the difference. The Zen master loudly rebuked Emperor Wu, calling him a foolish, incompetent king with unreasonable demands. Enraged, the emperor drew his sword to strike the Zen master. The Zen master stepped aside and calmly remarked, This is hell. Emperor Wu of Liang realized something and understood his mistake, quickly apologizing to the Zen master Jigong. The Zen master then stepped outside, smiled and said, "This is heaven." This story shows us that the boundary between heaven and hell is very thin. When we give rise to anger, we are immediately cast into hell. The 6 realms can also be viewed as 6 different emotional states. Anger corresponds to hell, desire to the realm of hungry ghosts, ignorance to the animal realm, the 5 precepts to the human realm, aggression to the realm of asuras, and the 10 good deeds to the heavenly realm. Human emotions are constantly in flux, with good and evil rising and falling unpredictably, leading to the continuous cycle of life and death without end. Therefore, to transcend the suffering of samsara, Buddhism teaches us that we must begin by cultivating mindfulness and regulating our emotions. How did our Lord Buddha escape from samsara? The Buddha himself was an ordinary person before attaining enlightenment. When he was still a prince, he traveled to the 4 gates of the city and witnessed birth, aging, illness, and death. These sights stirred questions within him. Thus, the prince could not find peace living a royal life and resolved to practice the path. The questions that troubled him may also be questions we all share, but rarely seek to resolve. His first question was, since all people experience birth, aging, illness, and death, where do we come from? The second question, after death, where do we go? The third question, how can we escape the cycle of birth and death? These are the 3 most crucial issues of human existence. Because of these questions, the Buddha was unable to find peace living in luxury or following worldly pleasures. He was determined to seek the path. Initially, he sought out well-known teachers of the time to learn from them. These teachers guided him through the levels of meditation, from the first dhyana to the second, third, and fourth dhyanas, but he found that these did not answer his questions. He then sought higher teachings, progressing through the levels of formless meditation, the sphere of infinite space, the sphere of infinite consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, and the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. Despite reaching these 4 highest levels of concentration, he still could not resolve the 3 crucial questions he harbored. At this point, there was no teacher left who could guide him, so he left these teachers behind to find a new way. In ancient India, many people believed that practicing extreme austerity would lead to enlightenment. Therefore, the Buddha practiced asceticism for 6 years, but ultimately, this approach did not answer his questions either. Finally, he arrived at the Bodhi tree, spread grass beneath it, and sat down in meditation. Here he made a solemn vow, as I sit beneath this tree, if I do not attain enlightenment, may my bones turn to dust and my flesh decay, but I will not leave this spot. With such resolute determination, he meditated under the Bodhi tree for 49 days and nights. On the 49th night, he attained enlightenment and fully answered the 3 important questions he had long pondered. First, he attained the divine eye of recollection of past lives. Divine eye of recollection means the clear vision of past lives. Through this, he answered his first question: where did we come from? In the scriptures, it is described that he saw and remembered countless past lives of his own as clearly as if they had happened yesterday. He saw where he was born in each previous life, what he did, and all the events of his past. The stories of the Buddha's past lives were later compiled into the Jataka tales by his disciples. He also knew the past lives of his disciples, where they were born, and what they did, which became the stories of origins. This memory was direct, and not something that anyone told him or that he inferred. Next, he attained the divine eye, or heavenly vision, an insight that enabled him to see clearly at great distances and perceive minute details. He saw sentient beings dying and being reborn, driven by karma, moving through the 6 realms like someone standing on a high tower, looking down and seeing people coming and going clearly at a busy crossroads. The Buddha knew clearly that when a person dies, it is not the end. Based on their karma, they are reborn within the 6 realms of samsara. This realization answered his second question, and with such clear insight, he taught the doctrine of rebirth. At dawn, just as the morning star rose, he attained the knowledge of the cessation of impurities. Impurity refers to the residue of delusion. Cessation means its complete end. The The Buddha understood the cause of birth and death for all sentient beings and the means to end this cycle, freeing oneself from the suffering of the three realms. With such clarity, he attained the knowledge of the cessation of impurities and declared his full enlightenment, becoming a Buddha. Thus, we know that the Buddha taught the doctrine of rebirth not based on speculation or imagination. When his mind became perfectly calm, his wisdom illuminated everything, allowing him to remember events from countless past lives. By attaining the divine eye, he saw sentient beings undergoing the cycle of rebirth in the 6 realms, driven by karma. The Buddha taught that karma leads one through the 6 paths of rebirth, where beings such as animals and hungry ghosts may exist alongside humans, though we can only see the animals. Some say that hell is deep within the earth, but this is not the case. Hell refers to a place of extreme suffering and punishment for beings with negative karma. After death, those with heavy negative karma are subject to painful punishments, known as hell. It is not, as people imagine, where demons come to lead them away. Rather, it is karma that leads. The effects of karma manifest according to the mind. Returning to the path of goodness, the human realm is considered the lowest of the good paths. We can take pride in being on this path, but if we are not careful in our practice, we may fall into the lower realms. To stay on the path of goodness, we must diligently practice and strive to improve, rather than becoming complacent. When our good fortune is exhausted, we may fall into the lower realms. Through his great wisdom, the Buddha saw all these truths clearly. Not only that, but he could also see even microscopic beings, which led him to say that in a bowl of water, there are 84,000 microorganisms. He perceived this directly, not through speculation. When he looked into the vastness of space, he saw countless worlds, as numerous as the grains of sand in the Ganges River. The Buddha's vision and understanding are beyond all conceivable measure. All of us who are here now have been here not just once but countless times. When a person leaves this body, it does not end there. They continue wandering, not knowing when they will stop. This is why Buddhism often uses the term wandering in the cycle of samsara, going on without knowing where to stop. The Buddha saw the paths that sentient beings take, coming and going, and thus taught the doctrine of rebirth. What is samsara? Samsara is like a wheel that turns continuously. It consists of 3 lower paths and 3 higher paths, where beings rise and fall in cycles, and thus it is called the wheel of rebirth. If a person does good deeds, they may ascend to the higher realms upon death. However, once their merit is exhausted, they will fall again. Conversely, if one commits wrongdoing, they will descend to the lower realms and remain there until their negative karma is repaid, allowing them to rise again. This constant rising and falling within the 6 realms forms the wheel of rebirth. Now that we understand the doctrine of rebirth with 3 good paths and 3 bad paths, what should we do? We should choose to follow one of the 3 good paths. At a minimum, we should return as humans. Those who are more fortunate may aspire to the heavenly realm. To return to the human realm, the Buddha taught that we should take refuge in the 3 jewels and uphold the 5 precepts. To go beyond that, we must practice the 10 good deeds to ascend to the heavenly realm. The intermediate level is the Asura realm. Asuras perform many good deeds and are diligent in charity, but they quickly become angry when provoked. They are considered deities, but not gods. Therefore, when giving or doing good deeds, remember to avoid anger. Karma is a law of justice for all beings. What you create, you will receive. If you do good, you gain blessings. If you do harm, you suffer. Committing all 10 evil deeds leads directly to hell without question. Those who perform slightly fewer than 10 may be reborn as hungry ghosts, wandering the world for a long time, enduring terrible hunger and thirst. Thus, the life of a hungry ghost is filled with suffering. Next is the animal realm. Committing roughly 5 of the 10 evil deeds can lead to rebirth as an animal. Animals are marked by ignorance and cannot discern things as humans can, which is a significant aspect of the cycle of rebirth. Speaking of the cycle of samsara within the 6 realms, who determines where we go? It is karma. And who creates karma? No one imposes it upon us. We alone make our choices and decisions. It is not that the Buddha punishes us by sending us to hell or rewards us by bringing us to heaven. As we exist in this world, some of us are wealthy, while others struggle in poverty. Who is responsible for this? Can we blame the heavens? In truth, a person without merit may find that no matter what they attempt, they fail and remain poor. On the other hand, a person with merit often succeeds easily and becomes wealthy. This is due to each person's own karma, not something bestowed upon them. Because we are unaware of this, we blame others instead of recognizing our own responsibility. Our present lives involve two main aspects. The first is repaying debts and enjoying past merits. Some people are born into wealth and privilege. They are reaping the benefits of past karma. Others are born into poverty or difficult circumstances, often as a result of past debts. The second is preparing for the next life by transforming our karma in the present. Therefore, the present life is significant. We must strive to create positive conditions, bringing some happiness now and setting up a better future. Those who understand the Buddhist teaching on rebirth have stable inner lives. The poor do not resent their situation, and the wealthy do not become arrogant. They know that if they enjoy good fortune now without creating further merit, they may fall into suffering later. Or if they endure hardship now, they can cheerfully accept it and work to improve, so they don't fall further but instead rise higher. Such understanding of samsara's law brings a natural inclination to choose the path upward, without harboring resentment or hatred toward anyone. In this world, it is common for a poor person to feel envious of the wealthy, or for someone who struggles in school to feel jealous of those who excel. These are bad habits, arising from our own karma. In the Buddhist scriptures, it is said that from the moment one sets their mind on the path until they become a Buddha, they pass through countless lifetimes, accumulating merit to attain the unsurpassed enlightenment of Buddhahood. This clearly shows that accumulation is never lost. Good accumulation leads to a good outcome, while negative accumulation leads to a negative outcome. People in the world often don't understand this, blaming their parents for lacking fortune or skill, thinking that is why they suffer now, or lag behind others, without realizing they are experiencing the karmic results of their own past actions. They were born into a family that corresponds to their own karma, with parents as a part of it, but the root lies within themselves. Thus, the teaching of rebirth reveals the reality of human life. The Buddha, having seen and known this clearly, shared it with us. It is not a product of his imagination. Today, we may find it difficult to believe because we see things superficially. In Buddhism, karma arises from body, speech, and mind, with mind being the driving force. Good or bad speech follows one's intention, as does the body's actions. Mind encompasses all forms of differentiation, including anger, sorrow, attachment, winning, and losing. These all originate from our thoughts. Living in pursuit of these thoughts is living in pursuit of karma. With negative thoughts, we may act poorly or speak harshly, while positive thoughts lead to good words and deeds. When this body perishes, karma remains because it lacks a physical form that can perish. It will follow us to the next life. This is known as karma's thread on the path of rebirth. To end karma, we must control and manage our mind. To understand whether we continue in samsara, we only need to observe our own thoughts. Our parents gave birth to our physical body, but not our mind. Some people have naturally good thoughts, while others have harsh thoughts. Where do these thoughts come from? They are the accumulation of past lives, without a doubt. This explains why some people, even as children, naturally avoid meat, while others struggle to go a single day without it, even if their parents encourage them to. This is due to past life accumulation, not something that appears randomly. Accumulation refers to the actions and habits we cultivated in past lives that do not vanish but return in this life. These accumulations follow us in the cycle of samsara, manifesting as each person's unique character. When we speak of samsara, there's no need to overthink it. Just look inward at your own mind, and you will understand. Why is it that some people, though we barely know them, seem immediately likable? Or why do others, also unfamiliar, instantly feel unpleasant to us? It's inexplicable, yet it's due to the karmic accumulations from the past. Everyone in this world has people they feel close to, and others they consider foes. Meeting them again often brings suffering. Close ones are cherished, while enemies are resented. Some may say, Why is it that certain people always get what they want while others, like me, always face rejection? But is it their fault or fate? It's more likely that in the past they acted indifferently towards others, and now others act indifferently towards them. It's a fair exchange. For example, if someone has a habit of chasing dogs, even if they're just out for a walk, dogs might hate them and bark at them. Karma, whether positive or negative, doesn't always wait until the next life to bear fruit. Sometimes it manifests in the present. The Buddha, through practice and insight, understood these truths and shared them with us. We do not see them ourselves because we lack sufficient wisdom. When we achieve the Buddha's level of realization, we too will understand as he does. In the sutras, it is recorded that the Venerable Moggallana, once he attained arhatship, encountered a spirit with a large head and a small stomach, with a terrifying appearance. He reported this to the Buddha, who replied, "I too see them regularly, but no one would believe it, so I do not speak of it." This shows that anyone who reaches enlightenment will see these things in the same way, not just the Buddha. Many people say, "I only believe what I see and hear." Yet, are our eyes truly capable of perceiving all realms? Coarse things are visible, but subtle ones are not. For example, without a microscope, we wouldn't see bacteria. Our human eyes are very limited compared to those with spiritual insight. Electricity flows above us, but do we see it? No, yet it exists. Therefore, we should not rely solely on our limited vision. There are real phenomena we have not yet seen or understood. What we hear and see as ordinary beings does not have absolute validity. Thanks to his ability to recall past lives and his divine insight, the Buddha explained the concept of rebirth to us. Having heard this, we should reflect on ourselves to see if this resonates as a truth. Knowing the truth, what should we do? Should we roam aimlessly, or should we choose our path wisely? The Buddha taught us to choose a path that brings peace both in this life and in future lives. This is the way of cultivation. Thank you for watching the video. See you in the next one.